Belly's narration in Season 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty has been quieter, but it's starting to shift, and so are her desires. Let's talk about how. In my last video, I broke down the evolution of Belly's narration from Seasons 1 through the first 3 episodes of Season 3, and I noted that in Season 3, her narration feels stalled, more infrequent, guarded, and unlike the curious, self-reflective girl we knew in the first 2 seasons wearing her heart on her sleeve. This season, Belly is repressing her emotions, and this shows up in her voiceovers. This is in contrast to the first 2 seasons, where Belly explored the vastness of her emotions with abandon.
I could hang out with him like this all summer and be really happy, but I can't help thinking that I wish I was here with Conrad. Doesn't he know, for him, I would have traveled endlessly around those curves?
But with her life after the time jump and with Jeremiah, she speaks matter-of-factly, her feelings fixed in place, as if she's trying to convince herself of her feelings along with the audience.
First loves are important, but they're not as important as lasts.
We also see Belly's narration appearing a lot less frequently than it did in the first 2 seasons. Her narration is quieted because Belly isn't engaging in true self-dialogue with her emotions. What first appears to be a more mature and confident version of Belly actually turns out to be a regression. But when Conrad is around, little cracks start to appear in her narration and her true emotions peek through.
That's when I had this sudden thought. A part of me will always love you.
I predicted that as the season goes on, her inner dialogue would return more often, especially as she spends more time with Conrad, forcing her to confront the emotions she's been burying, namely the feelings she still harbors for Conrad. If you'd like to hear my in-depth analysis of her narration from Season 1 for more context on this video, you can click the first link in the description or head to my channel. But for now, let's move on to the next 3 episodes. Episodes 4 through 6 continue the limited narration, but something starts to change. While Belly's still holding back, there's a slow, deliberate return to herself and the complexity of her feelings. Episode 4 sees Belly focusing on her mom as a distraction from her real feelings, while Episode 5 hands narration to Conrad, who's emotionally honest in all of the ways that Belly isn't. And Episode 6 finally gives us a shift in her voiceovers where flashes of truth start to slip through. We are beginning to see the push and pull between Belly's avoidance and the glimpses of honesty breaking through. So far, the avoidance has been at the forefront of her narration, but the series is beginning to show us the truth without Belly ever saying it directly, while also hinting that Belly will confront her feelings through cracks in her narration and other cues. Author and showrunner Jenny Han reinforces all of this through indirect storytelling, through music, framing, and subtle parallels. Because Belly isn't telling us outright how she feels this season, Jenny is leaving clues for the audience that signal that Belly will ultimately come back to herself and to Conrad. The narration this season may sound self-assured on the surface, but underneath it's fragmented, contradictory, and slowly unraveling. And that unraveling is what's bringing Belly back to herself. In Episode 4, Belly's narration is pared down and focused almost entirely on her mother.
Girls are supposed to go wedding dress shopping with their mothers. Hear them say, "That's the one. That's the way it's supposed to be."
In the midst of wedding planning, she zeroes in on this big problem, her mother's absence, but avoids touching the real problem at hand, her feelings about the wedding itself and what's truly off about it. Her heart isn't in the wedding, but focusing on her mother keeps Belly away from her true feelings, distracting her and the audience. Belly appears to be deeply affected by Conrad this episode. First, when she sees him at the cousin's beach house.
It's obviously some big, dramatic Conrad secret why he's still here.
And later, after he comments to Jeremiah that the idea of their marriage is ridiculous.
What? Why would he say that?
I heard you think we're being ridiculous.
You're really ridiculous.
She clings on to this comment and is evidently bothered by it, bringing it up over and over. Despite these strong emotions, her narration focuses only on her mother, in avoidance of the feelings Conrad stirs up.
My mom surprised me with this dress for my deb ball. I never felt more known or more loved by her than in that moment.
She has doubts about the marriage, but isn't able to truly face up to them until Episode 6. Episode 5 sees a move from Belly's narration and hands over the reins to Conrad. Coincidentally or not, this happens to be the episode with the most amount of interactions between Belly and Conrad. Conrad's point of view is long, detailed, and emotionally honest. He begins and ends the episode with his narration and sprinkles it throughout, as Belly did with most episodes in season 1.
It was like being hit by a fucking thunderbolt. For a second, I forgot it's not me who's marrying her.
One more stop.
Just say no. You can do it, weakling. Today I slipped up, but it can't happen again.
The exaggerated frequency of his narration is striking after Belly's sparse dialogue this season so far. This highlights Conrad's willingness to be truthful with himself, while Belly has lost that part of herself in season 3. Episode 6 is where we see Belly's narration really taking a turn. We notably do not hear Belly's thoughts during the Pete scene in episode 5, where Conrad cleans her face with his shirt. She's visibly affected in this moment, reflecting the emotions she details in the book.
It was maybe the most intimate thing anyone had ever done to me. I felt lightheaded, unsteady on my feet. I was shaking as I piled peaches into a plastic bag. Just one look, one touch from him, and I was shaking. It was madness. I was marrying his brother.
These aren't emotions we are privy to in this show, but following this scene, episode 6 gives us the most of Belly's narration that we've heard so far this season, a marked jump from episode 4's mere 2 lines. After the Pete scene, I think Belly is rattled, and so goes her narration. We see it in the way that her narration flickers between 2 modes in episode 6. She speaks either in long monologues or short, clipped voiceovers. The long monologues are in keeping with her narration style this season so far. We see Belly clearly trying to tell herself or convince herself of something on several occasions.
Jer's right. All we need to do is cling to each other to get through this storm. We love each other. And that's what really matters. Conrad Beck Fisher, the boy of my preteen dreams. I loved him in a way that you can only really do the first time around. But that's the past. Jeremiah, he's my future.
These are things she tells herself to help herself sleep at night. They're not her true feelings. However, in this episode we begin to get these short, clipped voiceovers that serve to give us a glimpse into her true emotions.
I'm not hungry. I'm just gonna go to bed. Night. Guess I'll be eating Kit Kats for dinner tonight.
Belly is evidently affected by Conrad after the Pete scene, and this is evidenced by her avoidance of Conrad in this scene. Belly is unable to even be in the same room as Conrad alone long enough to have dinner, choosing to skip dinner so she could retreat to the next room. She never explains why she can't be in the same room as Conrad, not to the audience, not to herself, but the subtext is there. She's running from the intensity of what she felt in the Pete scene, acknowledging through her actions that there's something that she's not ready to face. She accidentally lets the truth seep through here. It's a tiny admission before she bottles up her emotions, once again. This illustrates that Belly would slowly but surely come to terms with her feelings. Later in the episode, Belly has another curious thought.
I've known Jeremiah my whole life. I've always prided myself on how I remember every little detail. So it scares me to think I got this one wrong.
This voiceover sees Belly returning to her curious self from the earlier seasons, questioning and wondering, still in the process of becoming. Belly realizes here that she remembered a childhood memory wrong. In my last video, I touched on the significance of this. It's Jenny showing us that Belly has been coloring her memories to justify her choice to marry Jeremiah. She's an unreliable narrator because she remembers her own memories incorrectly. The misremembered moment here parallels her misremembering her feelings for Conrad. She's repressing the truth, but these cracks are letting it slip back in. It's these quick flashes where her true feelings surface, not the long speeches or statements. One of the most telling lines to support this is from this episode's earlier narration when Belly says that,
When I'm with Jer, everything is easier.
We again have her trying to make a statement self-assuredly, but the episode turns this statement on its head. In reality, Belly's life is full of Jeremiah-related complications, from his bad credit causing apartment issues to his cake demands stalling their wedding planning.
And say someone was a little behind on credit card bills, will that negatively impact the credit score?
We have no chance in hell, do we?
The show juxtaposes Belly's belief that with Jeremiah everything is easier with Jeremiah's true effect on her life, which actually makes her life more difficult.
Right, let's just go with this one. I have to head back soon anyways.
Febreze is not like some magical potion, okay?
While Conrad, on the other hand, is the one quietly helping making her life easier, helping her run errands, coming up with solutions, and cooking for her.
Get a sheet cake from Stop and Shop.
Okay, well, Don't do that. If you just did one layer, regular chocolate frosting, instead of delivery, I'll pick it up.
The audience starts to see that this idea of ease is actually associated with Conrad, not Jeremiah. It feels like another false memory Belly's clinging to, conflating her experiences with Conrad to Jeremiah. Especially, as seen previously, Conrad was always the one to help her. We've seen it in their flashbacks growing up, and we see it now in Season 3. In Season 2, Belly even remarks that she remembered what it was like to love him when he was sweet.
He made it so hard not to love him. When he was sweet like this, I remembered why I did.
And now, in Season 3, Conrad is being sweet again like he was when they were growing up. So Belly is beginning to remember the same feeling of loving him, which she has not been admitting yet, but we will see more of by the end of episode 6. The almost kiss scene between Belly and Conrad at the end of episode 6 is very significant. There's no narration during the moment itself, because Belly is fully present, caught up in the moment. But afterward, she has to admit, to herself and to us, that it was her choice. She wanted to kiss Conrad.
What just happened? What did I almost do? This time wasn't like with the peaches. This time it was all me.
Jenny reinforces this through music, replaying False God, the same song from their almost kiss scene in Season 1. Back then, Belly wanted Conrad more than anything. So in bringing that song back here, Jenny is bringing Belly back to that very moment. Without a word of narration, we see that Belly is in the exact same emotional place. She wants Conrad just as she did in Season 1. Even the lyrics work as subtext. As Taylor Swift sings, "We'd still worship this love," we see that Belly still can and is doing so. She touches her shoulder where Conrad's head had rested, and this time, she doesn't let her feelings slip past her narration. She acknowledges her feelings here in another short and quick narration that's over before it really begins. She also admits to the feelings that arose in the beach scene. She lets the emotions out for a moment before she zips them back in. She doesn't explore what this may mean for her any further beyond the admission. These short, disjointed thoughts are all she can muster for now, because I believe there's a lot more to come. On the surface, Belly's narration in Season 3 makes her seem more mature and self-assured, but in reality, it shows the opposite, that she's regressed. Instead of openly wrestling with her emotions the way she did in Seasons 1 and 2, she's performing a version of herself, saying what she thinks she should feel while quietly contradicting it in her actions. Jenny Han is setting us up for a shift. The hints through narration, misremembered memories, music cues, they all point towards Belly coming to terms with her feelings for Conrad. Each one is a crack in Belly's carefully built facade, hinting that her real voice will break through once again. The arc isn't just about romance, it's about what it means to be a girl finding herself, still coming of age. By the end, I believe Belly's narration will return to what it once was, curious, honest, and unapologetically herself. So that's all I have for today. Please share your thoughts in the comments if you agree or disagree with my analysis. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more analysis as the rest of the season continues. Thank you for watching.